Hi, I'm Kimberly Lane.
I'm Jonathan Ward.
I'm Sonia Jante. Together, we're unlocking leadership. We're three experienced executive coaches with very different disciplines. In every episode, we take a question from a real client and provide keys and insights to address their challenge from our three different perspectives. It is a holistic approach to address challenges and opportunities. So let's see who our question is from today. Our question is from Ken in Knoxville. Our company is reorganizing the business, which is creating new teams. In most cases, it's a mixture of virtual and in-person groups. Do you have suggestions for what is the best way for a manager to introduce themselves to a new team? Kimberly, what do you recommend to Ken?
Great question. Ken, here's what I recommend. Teams are made of individuals, right? I would take advantage of the opportunity, they're hybrid or in person, to be able to meet with each individual of the team on a one-on-one basis, just to kind of get to know them as unique individuals. And I would have the conversation be a little bit more expansive, other than just kind of their professional career and what they expect from you as a team leader. Get into kind of what their personal life is about. Do they have family? What motivates them outside of work? What hobbies do they have? What expectations do they have of you leading the team? Any personal insight as to what might have worked in the past, what they might like to change for the future. So I just think that helps create a one-on-one connection between you and the person, which then ultimately, when you get every individual together in the team, I think there's much more of a community, much more of a connection, much more of a safety and vulnerability to express your opinions and to really come together with creative ideas and innovation. So I would start there. You might not be able to accomplish that before you have your first meeting with the team, but please let them know that you're going to be having those one-on-ones with them in an effort to really understand what they're looking for, and give them an opportunity to share their insights as far as what they'd like to expect from you, from the team, anything to do differently, anything they would like to add. It's an opportunity for you to kind of introduce something new, possibly. By being their new team leader. So I'd kind of start there, Ken. Jonathan or Sonia?
Yeah, I was thinking about, yes, communication, introducing yourself is absolutely the best thing to do. First thing to do is to reach out to everybody on the team if you can and get a chance to meet them. And then if you can bring the team together as a whole, either virtually or combination of both. I mean, I think everything that I've seen about effectiveness, and now the studies are 20 years old. It would be interesting to see them redone in the post-COVID era. But if you can get a team together in person at least once a year, it's going to be extremely powerful for you, especially if you're aligned around a particular project or particular type of task. I think that one of your primary challenges as a new leader in an organization is to build trust. And I think that you want to be able to show your team that you are trustful, that they can, that you will follow through on commitments that you make. You will hold them and everybody on the team to the same level of accountability. Some people don't get an easy pass for failing to meet deadlines, and other people get criticized for it. You've got to treat people consistently, and communication just is absolutely the key. Make sure that the messages are being understood in both directions, both that you hear what people are telling you, and to double check that they are hearing the messages that you and the other team members are sending to them as well. So, I think those just basic kind of things like that even in a face-to-face environment can be challenging, but I think really need to be more emphasized even in a hybrid type of environment. So,
Wow, both great suggestions. So I'm going to go into it a little bit on the how to do it, and then build on a little bit on what both of you have said. So I wrote a book about the left and the right brain, and the fact that the right brain really likes images, really likes stories. And so one of the things that I have found some leaders do it's interesting, and it doesn't take very much. You can create 1 or 2 or 3 slides about that. That basically just sort of goes like, a little bit about, where you grew up, and a little bit about your background kind of thing, particularly if your team is across the world and in different places. The more that we can give people something that they can hold on to recognize, oh, that's what that's about. So I actually was working with a leader that was from Azerbaijan, and he had put together, because his English wasn't particularly good at that time, and so he basically put 3 pictures of where he was born and all that, and then he had a little bit of an explanation, and then he could walk through that. So I'm just saying it's interesting how we will remember things when it's because it's a first impression kind of thing. So something to think about in terms of adding a little bit of color, a little bit of pictures, it might be helpful. The other thing that I would say that's sort of important and that came up as a working with another organization a long time ago is they were transferring people in from a completely different division, a whole completely different way of working and style. And so people had a lot of questions, because when you're meeting somebody for the first time, particularly if you're going to be their boss, they're wondering, well, what does this mean to me? What does this mean for what I'm used to, what I'm expecting? And so they used to work with their HR person to say, here are all the questions we have of the new leader. And then the meeting happened with everybody on the team. And then either HR or somebody from the team decided to play, if you will, like they were doing the interviews. And they just basically asked the questions. So they didn't give the questions ahead of time. So the person didn't have any time to prepare. But so they got it in person, in real time, if you will, the person answering the questions very candidly and very clearly. And 90% of the time, people were, oh my gosh, I understand, I connected to him or her. I understood what they were about. And by the leader hearing the questions that they had, what was top of mind, they got a sense of potentially what were areas of concern, what were things that might not have been working, what was it that they need to be aware of in this particular culture, this particular group. So I'm just throwing those out as potential ideas, because at the end of the day, a good introduction works when I understand who you are and you understand what is important to me, and I feel like I have some answers.
Yeah, and I think too, when you're coming in as a new leader of a team, it's the team that you're trying to collectively, who are composed of individuals, to collectively move to a common goal, right? So you're more of a facilitator as opposed to just someone coming in with a hierarchical leadership power and telling everybody what to do, right? So I think you have a huge opportunity, and kind of touching base on what Sonia mentioned, is to come in and really kind of be an open book, allow them to ask questions about how you're going to conduct this team moving forward. Or you guys have had issues with never being able to complete the meetings on time, or a lot of times getting off topic, or accountability is an issue. So, it's a really great opportunity for you to kind of just be available to build that trust, and then to ask honest questions, and collectively you guys redesign based on what you've learned in the past and where you want to go, to really get the team moving forward in a different perspective. So, Ken, you're more the facilitator of that team, and that whole trust piece, that connection, and them feeling able to trust and communicate with you and have a certain degree of expectations, right? That needs to be part of that initial conversation too. What are you expecting of them, and what are they expecting of you? What would they like to see of you? So anything else, Sonia and Jonathan?
I guess I think about the creation of a shared vision. This is an opportunity for you and the team to talk about what does it look like of working together effectively. And sometimes a question that I ask every once in a while, I don't always ask this, but like, what does success look like? And then I might ask the question, what would cause this to fail? What would failure look like? And so, and then people get to talk about what would cause them to have a breakdown in trust, or to have something else going on. And then when you talk about what can cause this to go off the rails, then people start thinking about, how do we avoid that, or how do we keep that kind of thing from happening?
That's a great idea. I have a question that I often ask somebody that I'm coaching, but I think it's a question that would apply as well to talking to a group. So here's the context behind the question. We all have a way of taking score of whether we're doing well or not. And sometimes some people take score too quickly, so they're trying to assess things that you can't access it right now. And then some people don't really have a way to take score. So I love your question, Jonathan, about so how would we measure success? So basically, my question to leaders normally is so how do you know you had a good day? How do you know you had a good week? How do you know you had a good month? And how do you know you had a good year? And depending on how similar or how different those answers are, I understand whether they understand the journey and whether they have set themselves up for success in understanding how to build on that, or potentially don't have a plan in that regard. So I agree. That's a great great way to go through that.
Yeah, expectations and expectations of success. Yes, great, great input. Anything else?
For me.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, Ken, thank you so much for your question today. We hope you, our viewers and listeners, learned about successful leader introductions to new teams. To our listeners, if you like the content we shared today, please like this episode and also share and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Unlocking Leadership -askthecoaches.com. We look forward to reading your reviews. You can also find Unlocking Leadership Ask the Coaches on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. If you have a leadership question or would like to reach out to our coaches, please email us at info@unlockingleadership-askthecoaches.com. We would really love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us today, and tune in next time to find the keys to unlocking your best leadership.